Hello, everyone. Hello. You can see who I'm. We're double dutying over here. Welcome in to the Wind Dummies podcast. I'm your host, Lucas Deal, and we have an extra episode for you this month. And we're going to meet with the Air Capital Disc Golf Club. The entire board is here in the green room. They have graciously agreed to join us so we can shed some light on the work they do and to help all of you and honestly myself understand the club's role within our disc golf community. If you are not tuning in on the YouTube stream, you are doing yourself a disservice. So please jump in on YouTube. If someone's in the Facebook chat and can share the YouTube link, that would be awesome. This way we can pop your name up because we are going to take live questions here with the board this evening. Before we jump in, though, you can see I have the man, the myth, the legend here to my left, the one-time world champ, Chris Smith. Smitty, you get to be beside me the entire episode. How you feeling about that?
I just hope you don't slap me one.
Can't promise anything. Can't promise anything.
No, this is going to be great, man. I'm looking forward to talking to this crew.
Yeah, I am too. And let's bring in the other part of our team. We can't leave him out. The one and only step putt master himself, Mr. Ronnie Unruh. Well, let's pull him up. Where is he at? There's 70,000 people down here. There he is.
Yo, hey, what's up, guys?
What up, dude? How are you feeling tonight, dude?
Great, man. Looking forward to this. Really looking forward to this one. Should be an interesting conversation with these folks.
I agree, and I do want to ask you both a question, and kind of share some of my own thoughts on this before we jump in to speak with the board. But what are your thoughts about just the ACDGC? And I want to kind of give mine first because, as you all know, I'm not as old as dirt like some people. And you too, Ronnie. Yeah, so I haven't been in the disc golf game quite as long as y'all have, and I'm a baby in comparison. So kind of what I know about the ACDGC is not a ton, right? And I don't know necessarily what they do or how they help the game. I do know I've heard good things and I've heard bad things. And lately I feel like it's been leaning towards the bad. And I don't know enough to have a fair opinion. So that's why I'm really excited about tonight. Because we get to hear from them. I just want everyone to keep in mind that these guys and gals, they're doing this purely out of volunteer work. They don't get paid to do any of this. Yeah. But I know their purpose is to help disc golf, help the sport. And so why not help the people trying to help the sport? And that's why I created my Flights League and partnered with them, because I want to help. And tonight, I think what we're doing, what I'm looking forward to, is just a better understanding of everything. Speaking for myself, if I find out more information, I think I'm more likely to help the ACDGC out. I can understand why I need to be a member, what's happening when I am a member, what I can do to help the club, and why they're needed in town, right? So I'm excited to figure out all of these things. And I know, Smitty, you've been, like I said, around for a while and a whole lot longer than I have. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ACDGC and what you're looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, I've been part of multiple clubs moving around the state of Kansas throughout my disc golf career. I feel like the intentions of the club are always in the right mindset. They're always trying to do the right thing. I think there's a lot of opinions on the outside of the club that often have the answers that, well, they feel like they have the answers. They may not know what it takes to actually employ that answer. Yep. And it's actually the first organized club I've been part of. I mean, as part of the Walnut Valley Disc Golf Association, WVDJ, for a long time. And we always our main thing was just to have fun. And, we didn't have any bylaws or president. It was Dave Richardson.
Mhm.
And then when I moved to Newton, we didn't really have a club. We just had 5 guys that got together. So this is I think my 5th year in Wichita, and the first time being a part of the club. I was a part of the Air Capital Club before I moved here, but just just a member.
Yeah. Okay.
So Ronnie's the guy that's been around it of us 3 the longest.
Okay. So Ronnie, so if that's the case, and you've had the most time in the ACDGC, I'm excited to hear your thoughts as well. So share some of your thoughts just kind of around the ACDGC and what you've seen and with your history through the game.
Yeah, so I've been a part of the AirCap Club since, I'm not sure when it was. It was like either late 98 or early 99. So, closing in on 25 years. A part of the AirCap Club. I've seen a lot of really great things. I've seen some things that I didn't necessarily agree with. That's kind of any organization you deal with, though. It's never going to be trying to make everybody happy is impossible. And if you strive to do that, you're never going to succeed. Knowing that you can't make everybody happy is one of the first things you have to understand if you're going to be successful. But there's a lot of folks that think they have the answers. Hell, I may even be one of them. I don't know. Right. But the opportunity to talk to all the board members and thank you to all of you guys for coming on, kind of putting yourself out there, and being vulnerable, because a lot of us just want to know, right? Right. What do you do? Why do you do it? What can we expect in the future? And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to talking to these folks.
Yep, I agree. And so let's go ahead and just hop into the action and bring the board on one at a time. I'm going to have you all introduce yourself by name, your current role on the board, and how long you have served, and if you're serving next year. Once everyone has introduced themselves, we'll jump in and start asking some questions. We're going to direct questions to one's individual and then open it up for everyone with something to add. I'll be using the mute button quite a bit, like crazy tonight. So if you're speaking over someone, I got the power to mute you. You unfortunately have the power to unmute yourself, but I'm hoping if I mute you that you get the idea that we're moving on. So please, let's all be respectful of everyone. The internet's asked some good questions, and I imagine we're going to get some more questions once we kind of jump in here. So with all of that being said, let me switch some things around, and we will get our first board member here. Let's bring on this gentleman. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So if you would just, I'm going to put this on the screen for us too. But if you'll just give your name, position, how long you've been on the board.
Okay, I'm Marty Hunt. I'm currently president of ACDGC. I will be going off the board next year. I can't remember exactly how many years I've been on the board. I'm thinking somewhere in the 5 to 7. For an old guy, I got started in disc golf pretty late. I've only been playing about 10 years, and got involved with the club because they needed somebody. And I'm one of those people that if I'm involved in some activity, I like to help out if I can. I started running leagues down here in Derby when Mike Schonifer was president, and I've done that for, probably 7 or 8 years now. And filled in at leagues at some of the other places, and then they needed somebody on board. I think the first time I served as maybe events coordinator, and I signed on to do that, and I was pretty much, the only thing I did really was keep track of the schedule and the rotation of the events. I didn't do near as much on directing tournaments as I should have in that position. Then I served as vice president, and we went through a rocky couple of years, and I really got convicted that I didn't want to see the club fold. So I remember talking with Joe Belson and Nate Taylor, and we were all thinking we were about done. and I changed my mind. I just really felt like I needed to step up, so I said I would go ahead and run for president, and got that done at the very last minute. Lucky me, I believe that was the the December of 2019, and I got elected. We took over. We had a nearly full board, and at our first meeting, we had a volunteer to fill in our other position. So I felt like we were really going to be seeing things moved. And then somehow a month later, the bottom fell out of the world, and a couple of our board members disappeared and just let us know that they weren't going to serve at all. And the rest of us struggled through getting things together, and managed to keep, once we felt like it was safe to and we're told it was safe to let leagues go on, we got that going on. We ran Doodah at a very it was amazing that we pulled it off as late as it was in the year, because we didn't have it 4th of July weekend. And then I served as president for the last 3 years, and I feel like the club's in a pretty good place. I feel like we've got a fairly decent reputation with the people around. We've accomplished a lot of things, and I hope those things can continue.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Marty. And we're gonna, jump into a lot of questions tonight. So I appreciate you introducing yourself and for, of course, your service with the board. I mean, it seems like you've been around the board for a while, so you're going to have some good insight on this. I'm going to bring in the next member of the board. If you will also go ahead. Yeah, I know. Let's just talk about that real quick, Ed.
Yeah, quite the collection of medieval helmets there.
That's sick.
Yeah, my name is Ed Root. I'm currently the vice president, and been serving for just this past year. This is my first time on the board. I kind of got coursed a little bit by Mr. Mike Bailey, and I just to sort of test the waters and see what the inner workings of the club are when everybody does. So I'm just kind of feeling things out this year. I do plan to come back next year. I'm not exactly what role yet, but I do plan to be on the board next year as well. And like Marty, I came into disc golf pretty late. I think I've only been playing maybe 6-7 years or so. I kind of wish I picked it up a lot sooner, but I love it. So.
All right, awesome.
Yep.
Let's bring in our next member, or next board member here. All right, move over. There you are. You should be good.
I was muted, but I'm unmuted now. How are you guys doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't unmute you. You listened to my instructions. I'm so sorry, and then I didn't unmute you. This is all on me.
So my name is Joe Belson. I'm the treasurer of the Air Capital Disc Golf Club, and I've been on the board for, I think, about 6 years in that role. I am planning on running in 2024. I got originally involved with the board. Ed used the term coercion. I would say it was fairly similar to me. If you guys know Bob Decker, he'd been treasurer for years and years and years, and it was kind of conveyed that the skill set of treasurer, I guess the accountability associated with treasurer, was something they were wanting to be careful who they handed it off to. And I don't know if that was enough to prop up my ego enough that I said yes, but I've been doing it since then. Marty kind of touched on it. It's a thankless job. I've thought probably every year I don't really want to do it again next year. I want to go back to enjoying disc golf and enjoying competition. Yet also, like Marty said, I feel like if I enjoy something like disc golf, I should give back to it in some form or fashion. And so serving on the board has been my role in doing that. And, I don't know. I think hopefully we get into some good topics tonight and get some of this out in the air. But I think the biggest frustration I have historically in my role or in the board in general is just that there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of people who want to have negative comments or thoughts. But a lot of times those aren't the people who are putting in the hours or putting in the effort. And I appreciate the people who do put in the time. So, I think that's kind of a common theme that I deal with. But I love disc golf. I love that we have a club in town that's willing and trying to grow the sport. And so that's what keeps me coming back.
I love that. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate you. All right, next up is going to be Mr. Bailey. There you go.
Hey, Mike Bailey. I've been playing disc golf for about 4.5 years. Got involved with Bill Paulson several years back, working on the Colwich disc golf course, doing maintenance and working on expanding the second 18 out there. And he was planning on retiring from the club board as the parks liaison. So about 1.5 years ago, talked me to joining the club and filling the vice president spot. So I did that for the remainder of that year. And then at the end of that year, he retired as parks liaison, and I applied for that and got that position. Since then, just been working to help maintain the course. The city really does like to work with one or a few people for maintenance projects for disc golf. They love disc golf. We fill their parks up. So they really enjoy having us there. They like working with us. They want to do a lot with us, but they have limited resources, man hours, money for doing that. But over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of growth within the sport locally, and a lot of work that we've been able to do for several of the courses across town. And there's still a lot more to do.
All right. Thank you, Mike. We will go now to, let me pull them up here. Let's go ahead. Go.
Jimmy Yeager. This year I'm the events coordinator. Last year I was vice president, so I've only been around it for 2 years. And I've been playing disc golf for a little while. I'm not good enough my skill set's not good enough to be playing in tournaments. But I like disc golf enough, so I figured I'd volunteer and help out other means. So I helped get baskets for Herman because I saw someone comment on that. So that was my initial thing. So like 2 years ago, so I went to Marty and them, or actually it was like almost 3 years ago. So I went to them and said, hey, I'd like to fundraise for baskets. And then they're like, yeah, go ahead. And then I went and met with the city, and then Marty ended up being in the meeting with the city. So that showed the relationship that whenever there's something going on in disc golf, the city does reach out to the board. Because I reached out to the city on my own. And then when I went to that meeting, Marty was there present too. And then as I was doing that, Marty had said a conversation of, how they needed board members and stuff to keep the club going. And so I went ahead and ran for the vice president that next year. And then I raised the baskets, and then and step into that. It's a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, next up, and we'll move her over there. All right, there you go.
Hello.
I'm
Christina Welcome. I've been on the board for about 6 months, so I guess I'm the newbie in the group. I originally came on to take Brendan Kuntz's position when he was moving to Florida originally as communications, but he ended up sticking around, so that's awesome. But I ended up taking position of the secretary because they needed someone there. So I've been doing that for about 6 months. I guess I kind of reached out to Marty when I saw they were posting about needing someone for that communication position. So that was originally why I reached out. I've heard a lot about the board. I moved here probably 3 years ago to the Wichita area. And I guess it's kind of felt like AirCap was kind of this big, like unknown mystical body. So I was like, I kind of want to know more about that. So I messaged Marty when I saw that position open up, wanted to get involved, and I love the disc golf community. So if I can help out in any way, I think that would be great. So I'm planning on running next year. I'm not sure what position I'm looking at. I'm kind of thinking maybe communications, just because I feel like that's probably where my skill set is at. But
don't you have a degree?
Yeah, I do have a degree.
In communications?
Yep.
I mean, that's a feather in the cap. Yeah.
I vote.
You what?
I said you got my vote.
Okay, perfect. This is my official running stance, but yep. So I think I'm going to run next year. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited to have these conversations and kind of flesh out, I guess, goals of AirCap and kind of where we're going in the future. So I think it'll be good for everyone to hear that.
Yep, I love that. All right. And then we got 2 more here. Let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Kuntz. There you are, sir.
There we go. Hi there. My name is Brendan Kuntz. I serve as the communications coordinator. It was originally on a temporary agreement. I was coming in a time when I think it was kind of hard to find somebody to serve for the position. So I saw an opportunity where I could really kind of help revitalize how the board interacts with the community and communicates with them and everything. I will agree. If there is somebody with a degree, Christina, you definitely. If there's a better person for the job, I'd be happy to let you do that. I am interested in helping out however I can. But with that, yeah, I'm interested to really kind of create a good set of goals for us to work towards as a board in the short term and the long term. Trying to just really build our community. I mean, past what it's been. I've been playing disc golf my entire life, so it's been a crazy growth over the last 20-something years.
Yep, 100%. All right.
You can have my vote too, Brendan. I always vote for a pioneer. I'm a waffler. Don't worry.
I appreciate
can flip
I appreciate it. Yeah, if West High gets me something there, I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah,
But I'll admit, I think there is somebody better for the job. So I'm interested to see how I can help in the future.
All right, and then let's get our last gentleman over here. Go ahead, sir.
Unmute
Oh,
him.
let me unmute you. This is my fault. Hold on. You're good now. You should be. No, you have to unmute yourself because you muted yourself last. There you go.
You're live. You're not live.
No, I think you may have hit the mute button 17 times. This is just normal Teams calls.
Is that it?
Hey, we
You
got
hear
it. We got it.
All right. You told me not to do that, so I know
did,
what
I
you're
did.
secretly doing. Over there clicking me back and forth. Right?
Setting
Jerry
him up.
Sherwood here. I've been around disc golf since 1982. I moved to Wichita shortly after that, so I had about 6 or 7 months down in Oklahoma City. Came back up here, and it was another several years before 1988 rolled around, and we got the courses in here. Started happening. I was with the club when they first organized, but I couldn't stay with them long. I was working for a living, had a family, and just couldn't swing it. Didn't return back until 1994 or 5, and then started helping run a club up at Perman Hill with Rob Decker. When we formed the board and incorporated, I was the communications director as I came on. So I've served the board off and on for a little bit there. 2006, I dropped out for a little bit, came back in about 2010. In 2010, I got pretty serious about it as far as staying with it, wanting to get the club moving. Mike Schoenfer had done a great job getting things lined up, but he was really overworked a lot, and it was really tough. But I'll tell you what, they left us in a great position because in that time we were able to get together a pretty good amount of cash. We can thank Rob Decker for that because he's a great treasurer. He picked a great man to come behind him, Joe Belson. And every one of these people who stepped up here, I have nothing but the greatest respect for because I know how hard this job is. I serve with the board now only as a volunteer to give them advice that I can if they want it, sometimes when they don't want it. But my interest is just like theirs. I only want to see this sport continue in this town. I want to see this club stay because I know how important it is and what role we've played in making disc golf be here, grow here, and get to the place that it is here now. And you can judge that by what you have here in the way of facilities that weren't here just 10 years ago. That being said, I respect all these guys. I'm not running for anything. I just want to be here and answer any questions that I might be able to do from the historic side of this club. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, you've been around the game for a long time, so we definitely appreciate that. I think we're going to start. We're going to start some of the questions. Before we jump into that, though, there have been just some people in chat just saying what's up. So let's go ahead and just say hi to a couple peeps. There's Craig saying hi. Sorry about your face, Ronnie. There's Justin saying hi. There's Kenny is here saying hi. So appreciate everyone jumping in and saying hello and there's a what up here on Facebook. I don't know exactly who that is. Keep that in mind that if you're on Facebook, I can't see you. So jump into the YouTube stream so I can pop your name up and you can look cool. So there's Charlie is here. Ty is here. Here come the hellos. Tyson's here. So appreciate everyone finding some information out about the club. I think it's going to be awesome, right?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Schoenhofer's run. Man, that guy. Why wish that dude would get back into disc golf, man. We knew in a time before UDisc, we knew every course record for every format, every layout, and that dude was amazing.
That's crazy.
He worked crazy.
Yeah, he was
worked a lot.
Yeah. Loved it. We ready then?
Yeah, let's jump into some questions.
All right. Well, first one goes to you, Marty, and maybe Ed. And then, like Lucas said earlier, anybody can jump in after the fact and add their nickel in there if they want. Kind of a three-part question. First of all, what is the overall goal of the Air Capital Disc Golf Club? I've heard multiple people already today talk about working towards the goals. What are those goals?
To promote disc golf in the Wichita area in whatever way we can. One of the key things that to be able to promote it to the level that it is, you have to work with government entities. And sometimes the wheels of those government entities are oiled with sand. And it takes forever to get things done. So you have to be patient. And you have to jump through hoops, sometimes attend meetings, and sometimes you get called to meetings like Jimmy mentioned when he was trying to promote new baskets at Herman because I was the current president. They contacted me, and that's happened several times. Now, we have several other guys that have got good connections. Mike has a great relationship with the park people, and so they contact him directly. But that's the big thing. We want to promote disc golf and make it as available and continue to grow. It's seen tremendous growth in the last couple of years. We more than survived COVID. You can look at the numbers of PDGA membership numbers and see how it's exploded in the last 4 years. But you drive by pretty much any course in the area and there's people playing. If we can get more people involved to help out. I run the league at Derby for years. We were real happy to have a dozen people there. And this last year I ran every week the equivalent of small tournaments. I had 35, 40 people there every week. Part of that's just consistency of knowing that there's going to be something going on Monday nights at Stone Creek and people come out. So that's it to me. We want to promote the sport and make it as available as possible. We want to make it responsive to people's wants, but we have to do that in a way that, we have a limited number of volunteer hours to put in on things. And I will tell you, the big reason I'm bailing out on it is I've gone through already 1 year, 2 years ago, where I spent 7 months recovering from replacing a hip, and I'm having an MRI on one of my shoulders on Friday, and so my playing's going to be really restricted again this year. So but I'd love to see it still here when I get back healthy and throwing again.
Well, hopefully your MRI comes back less than what you think it is, and
well, I'm
you'll
just
be back
ready
on the
to
scene.
do anything. I've been sleeping about 3 hours a night because of the shoulder pain that I've had for the last 2 months. So I was glad to get some doctor that had an idea of what was wrong.
I
Look
got,
like
I got
Ed.
one coming this year too, Marty. I got a rotator cuff that's needed worked on for about 15 years. So as
That's
soon
what-
as Worlds is over this year, this bad boy's getting cut on.
yeah.
It looks
Yeah, and
good, Ed.
I was gonna add to what Marty was saying. I mean, I generally play most of the tournaments. I go to, I try to go to at least one league event a week. But even when I don't go to these, and like Marty said, driving around some of these courses, it still surprises me how many people that I see playing golf that are not in the club, that are not playing the tournaments. These are just new people that have picked it up. And so I think there's an additional growth potentially for the club and even for the Facebook group and everything to get more people involved. So, so I think that's one thing we need to do going forward is try to help some of these new people that are just out playing, that aren't aware of the club and aren't aware of the community, try to get these people involved and let them know there's tournaments out there and they can get signed up and even have more fun. So
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand that Millbrook Park never sleeps. You can go there now and somebody's out there at the practice basket or playing disc golf. And I went out there first thing in the morning to try to hunt down a disc that I've left. And
Lost
generally
in the
somebody
water.
beats me, or you
Did
can
you
see
suck?
somebody's walk through the park. So I hear what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said you because you lost a disc in the water because you're a terrible disc golfer.
That's true.
because I think part of the reason why help getting things done, we need as many volunteer helpers as we can. If there's any maintenance tasks that need to be done, or if there's any problems that happen out on the different courses, I mean, the more eyes that we have on this stuff, the better. So if we can get people to communicate that back to the club, we can, hopefully prioritize which things need to be done first. And obviously there's people have goals for new courses, and that takes a lot of planning. It's not that easy to do. But we need to get the feedback and try to prioritize, in the next couple of years. But where do we really want to expand? Is it just making the courses that we have better, change the baskets around, or do we need all new, some new properties that we need to look at?
So I guess this would be a good time to ask the second part of our question. What is the most significant contribution from the club to the Wichita disc golf community in the last 3 years?
I'd say the growth in the courses and the improvement in courses. I don't know if it would be just 3 years, but we've gone from 2 courses with baskets that were pretty old to up to date, nice, really good baskets. At what do we have now? 8 in the city and immediate suburbs that are all in really have really good equipment on them. And we're only able to do that because we've had enough support from our leagues and from donations to be able to buy baskets. And you have to have some organization to get that done.
Yeah, I think the one thing about those baskets that's shocked me both times it's happened is I don't know if Jimmy was first or Millbrook was first, but we sold 18 basket sponsorships in 3 days for Millbrook. And I called up Mike and told him we had the money, and I probably went around you a little bit on that, but we ordered them and got them in. And I called up Mike again. Mike, sorry he gave me his phone number a long time ago, but I bug him and we got him put in with a small crew of people. And then once again, Jimmy and his fundraising efforts at Herman Hill, I think weren't all 18 of those also funded by the community of disc golfers, sponsors, and
I unmuted myself. So yeah, so I because I didn't sell it for the it was like I did like a $300, and then you could have your and people could advertise on the basket, whatever. And I did that in 24. That happened in like less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
just posting it on the Facebook group, and then just a little bit of fundraising at some of the stuff, and then the air cap, which is members' money, paid for the remainder. And then like yours, I think I did mine, and then you were doing yours, so I kind of slowed down. And then, anyways, yada yada yada. But the community steps up every single time.
oh yeah,
And it was like, I mean, it's just.
I mean, you can throw the T signs at Oak into that
Yeah, that was all
that thing. Those were all funded by community. I'm not so sure that the West course at Colwich wasn't community funded. Mike, is that true?
Supported by the CPL League.
Yeah.
So that all the fundraising from league, they run their tournaments where they have, all the contributions from the community that help fund that.
So, I mean, our community, whether they're members of the AirCap or not, are incredibly generous with their financial support all the way around. So that's an amazing thing to have that.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second here? Because I think we need to be able to do that a little bit and have a little back and forth.
Sure.
All three of those situations were funded by the people and not by the club. Is that not correct?
Let me unmute you here.
But it's not entirely correct. Let's start with the this T signs that started up at kind of got this ball rolling over to Oak Park. That started out as a private fundraising thing by Curdy B, and I really appreciate that he got it rolling. But he really didn't have the means to be able to pull it together quickly. So at that point, we stepped in and made sure that there was the organization behind it to be sure that people knew where their money was going and that it was going out. And that point, we had good trust in the community, and that's what happened. Basically, they were able to contribute to our PayPal account. We got the money in. I believe, if I remember correctly, Smitty was behind the efforts to be able to actually get the signs taken care of, and it was from the community. But Curdy B was a member of the club, by the way, and it just happened from a wider community. I think it's a great way to be able to do it, and that's one thing we've learned from the CPL, and that's what we learned from that and so forth. And how to be able to incorporate that is going to be part of the goal that needs as we move ahead. How do we incorporate and keep the local clubs alive and well and doing what they do, and then find out what the role is for the club in that milieu, because that's the answer there. The club to be saying, in order to be able to play the role that Mike Bailey does in terms of being the parks liaison, that whoever steps into the president role does in helping to create the vision to move us forward. And that's all I can say is you can't write it out only because they've done it different ways. The club always can play and will play a role to help anybody out who undertakes anything, whether they're in the club or not.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And I see a couple people. Jimmy, I'm going to get to you first, and then Joe, I'll get to you next. All right.
Unmute.
Oh,
You're on mute.
I got him.
Sorry, I muted my. I was waiting on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you mute yourself, we can't unmute you.
No, you're good. Sorry, I apologize. All right, so to what Ronnie is saying, I mean, yeah, true to a point, but it was like my thing. I was in a partnership with the club, right? And most of the money that was raised, it was the community, but then the other portion of it did come from the club, from club funds. And then you look at like Millbrook. I mean, I know Smitty did the brunt work, and Mike helped out, but I mean, I think the club was there as a presence with that too, because the Air Capital Club is like the body that the city goes to. So whatever happens at the end of the Wichita courses, the city is going to involve the club, even if the person who is doing it, you know what I mean, doesn't involve the club will get involved because the city sees Air Capital Disc Golf Club as the go-to on the stuff that's disc golf. And it clouds everything because Mike Bailey does an awesome job, but he's also a member of the club. And I think people forget that. He's an awesome volunteer and stuff, but he's park liaison. So, you know, he was a part of that. So anyways, that was my
I'm going off of some of the comments that we've had
on
our Facebook, and this is some of the stuff that's came back. One of the Ducks doesn't go through for anything at Clap for the most part. So that's a comment, and the comment, and one of the other comments would be, so yeah, you are currently the person that the city goes through, but who's to say that another organization couldn't form and do that themselves, right? So I mean, I think there's got to be a give and take there, and obviously we know that the city would prefer to deal with a certain organization or a certain person, but I don't think that if they were approached with someone in a professional manner with a good plan and a bunch of funds, that they're going to turn any money down.
So I want to weigh in a little bit. The reality of raising funds for course improvements is that from the board's perspective, from the club's perspective, we do have a few $1,000s in the bank typically at any given time. Sometimes that gets close to 10 grand. Sometimes that's in the 2,000 or 3,000 range, depending on what we've spent money on recently. But if we can get volunteer funds or donation funds and sponsorships on anything, we're going to take advantage of that every single time. Because
Sure.
what that does is it makes it so that our budget, what we have in the bank, doesn't have to be spent on a single project, and we can put a couple thousand towards several projects over time. So I think it's great when we get volunteers like Smitty did with Millbrook, like Jimmy did with Herman, like Marty did with Derby several years ago, to raise funds, get sponsorships for those baskets, and be able to offset the costs. I will tell you, for every single upgrade, we've typically contributed in some form or fashion financially. I think at Millbrook, we helped pay for the cost of concrete and stuff to install sleeves. I don't think we actually had any cost associated with the baskets themselves. For Herman, Jimmy, as he mentioned, raised $300 per basket from donations, but the baskets are almost $500 each. So the club covered the additional cost of those baskets. And then Jerry already talked about what we've done in some of the other courses. So I guess the other factor that kind of addresses your recent comment, Ronnie, around Duck and his efforts. Obviously, Duck's a great grower of the sport. He's done a lot to grow Clap's course. He's done a lot to really grow the sport and to increase the number of people who are looking to play it every single week, and that's great. He has a revenue stream that we don't have. We're not selling discs.
Mm-hmm.
We're not out there typically running tournaments at a profit. We do our best to run our tournaments and put everything back into players' packs or into payout. And you can critique that if you want. That's fair. And say that we need to do it a little different so we have more of a revenue stream. But the reality is most of the revenue that we get as a club comes from the 50 cents per person that we take out of payout when we do leagues, and the voucher payment processes that we have with our vendors at tournaments and with Duck on a recurring basis. So our revenue is fairly small. I guess I also left out membership dues. But again, if you joined this year and you saw what you got as your pack, we're not making much on that. So
That's a wash.
I think it's a little bit hard sometimes because people want a lot for what they give you in money. You know, if I'm paying $25, I want to feel like I got my $25 worth. But if, you know, stuff's not cheap. And so to put together a package that people are happy with at $25, you're only making $5, maybe $7 on what you're getting. So that's perspective from the treasurer's angle. We don't have a huge revenue stream, so that's probably something we can work to improve. And then we are always going to take volunteer contributions, sponsorship dollars when we can get them, because then our funds stretch further.
I got to be honest. Of all the comments I saw, very few of them had anything to do with financials. I think everybody, for the most part, trusts where you guys put the cash, and trust that you guys are using our dollars that we either donate or pay in dues or fees in the best way you know how. I have not seen really any comments otherwise.
And
I think it's more what I was talking about was more the initiative of those projects came from non-AirCap club, and that's, I think that's what the comment came from Ducks as well, right? Well, they go move baskets, they do whatever they need to do outside of the framework of the city or the club or whatever, you know. So why can't that be otherwise? So, guys, we got a million questions to get to, so we're going to have to start pushing through these a little quicker.
Yeah.
So, closing on what we've done in the past, where are we going in 3 years? What are we going to have? What's going to be new in 3 years? What's the club going to look like?
And this can be.
It could be Marty, or it could be, well, any of them that want to tackle it.
Anybody.
What can we share about Sedgwick County? Is that supposed to be?
Yeah, I don't think anything can really be said beyond what you just said, because we don't know where that's at. We don't know where
There's a
we're going
very
with that.
long-term I'll leave it at that. There's a very long-term process going on to investigate the possibility of a course there. But again, you're dealing with county parks and rec, and they're every bit as slow as every city parks and rec department. That's the only one that I'm aware of that we have in the works right now. One of the frustrations I have had is, and this is, you see this, they seldom say it to us directly on the board, but people will be driving down the road and go, wow, that looks like a great property. Yeah, why don't we put a disc golf course in there? And the reality is, because we don't have Big Brother who's got, or Daddy Warbucks who's got $15,000 to drop every time we see some really nice place for a disc golf course. I don't know that we have any places. There's some things possibly in the works, but I don't know that we have anything as far as new courses in plans immediately. Anybody else have a response to that?
I got one. Personally, what I would like to see is not a big master, awesome disc golf course that the top level advanced and pro players can enjoy. I think what the city needs is something that's dedicated to the new player, and refurbish some of those old baskets that we have, find some place to put them in where, you know, a family can go out, mom and dad and 2 kids, and make their way around the course without losing disc and throwing 95 times to get to a hole. That seems like the quickest way to get rid of players to me is.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, and I don't know where that park exists. I kind of feel like that park already exists at Evergreen Park, but I don't know how many people in Wichita have ever played that course, but you know, a little bit of effort here and there, and that place could be a fantastic little place for a family to get together.
Yeah. Now, Mike, I saw you put your hand up a second ago. Do you have something you want to add as well? Jerry, I see you too.
We're coming at you, Jerry.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and almost every project that has happened around here, I've at least been involved with in some small part. Everything that's happened out at Clap, I've either talked with Duck about it or talked directly with the city about it. When the east side went in, I worked with the city. They actually came out and drilled all the holes for the sleeves, and then I worked with Duck and his volunteers to get those put in. I worked with Duck and talked over with him, you know, his ideas for pads and that kind of stuff going in at Clap as well. I think the only project that I haven't been involved with is Park City. You know, a local, you know, disc golfer worked with the city and got that put in. It's a great little 9-hole course. But yeah, you know, Evergreen, I worked with Bill on that a little bit. It was mostly Bill. But, you know, working with the city, we are working behind the scenes on about every project. Even at Oak recently, I've been working with Nick on putting an extra pin in on hole 7, adding some of the wood benches. You know, he worked through me, and we got permission from the city to put those in. So anytime we touch a course, we need to work with the city to get that done and coordinate with them. I've spent many a Monday nights out at Colwich at their city hall talking with the city there and getting permission and coordinating with them on getting work done.
Yeah, those are all awesome things, man. I wish there's a way you could share those efforts with the community as to what's being done.
Yeah,
people that don't know what's going on with the benches at Oak, or I was under the impression that Nick just put those in himself.
He did, but he did it with permission.
Right.
So, yeah. And I agree. And so I should probably be working with Christina, you know, in the future and figuring out a good way to put that information out there and also give recognition where it's deserved.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to shout your guys' self out, because like people want to know what all you do. I mean, a lot of times you guys do so much stuff in the shadows that people don't realize what you're doing. And I think that you just need to brag about yourself. It's okay. Like people want to know where their money's going, why they're a member. Like, because you guys are doing good stuff, you got to brag about it.
Yeah. This is a long time complaint. Right. Oh, sorry, Mike. That's a long time complaint that I've heard from folks in the past, right? No transparency. We have no idea what's going on. So yeah, it makes it look like you guys just don't do anything, right? Because you don't tell us that you're doing anything. And one, you really should, because yeah, you guys do so much that you really need to get a little bit of pat on the back for. And there's a lot of folks out there that would be willing to do that. But secondarily, the members deserve it.
Yeah, as
Colin,
far as
Gary.
new courses, I've had conversations on 5 different parks in town. You know, what's the potential of getting a disc golf course in? And that's just within the last year.
All right, Jerry, I'm sorry. I know you had your hand up a few times. There you go.
A couple of things I wanted to say. One of all, when you ask about what's it's going to look like in the next 3 years,
Yes, sir.
right now the biggest concern is what's it going to look like next year. We need the club is in need of someone to step up, because one of these people here are going to step into the presidency role. I expect. I don't know if it's going to be Joe. I don't know who it's going to do. If Joe does, though, we're going to need a treasurer. If it's Jimmy, we're going to need an events coordinator. If it's Ed, we're going to need another vice president. These roles are all important. That's what people don't realize is these are the volunteers who do the most, and that they get their hands into it most of the time. Then we have the people out there who are pretty good about coming in and either having projects and coming to us, and they do stuff, and they're great too. And we used to have a lot more than we have now, but people don't always realize all they got to do is come to the board. You got an idea, come to a board meeting, give it to us. We'll and give it to them, and I'll guarantee you'll be considered, and they'll be right up front about what we can do or can't do at the time. And as far as Park City goes, by the way, that was done. Bill and I actually pitched that to them. Somebody else took it under the wing up there to get it rolling, but they did so because of what our efforts were to begin with. Bill helped design it. I gave a little bit, but I'm just me. But we also did contribute some to their expenses in terms of getting them T signs in there really inexpensively and so forth. So we do stuff every chance we get. Down at Hayesville, we put in the extra 9 holes that got Old Oak turned into 18. They're just things there. If it's going in new, most likely the air cap has had a hand in it. We try to tell people know what's going on, but how do you do that? Because when you've got people scattered all over the place, well, you can scream, but usually the only screams they hear is when people are screaming at us. Those they hear, but they don't necessarily hear when we talk about what we've done. The word goes out, and it's there, which is cool. Yeah. I don't need the praise about it. I didn't come in for the praise. I came in here to do the work when I did, and that's what every one of these people up here has done. They want to do the work. They don't necessarily appreciate the fact that it's a thankless job, but then again, they're dedicated for another reason. So you don't have to go toot your own horn if what you're doing is for the good of disc golf, and your heart's in the right place, and you're doing the best you possibly can. That's what these people do. They're going to serve you well, and whoever wants to step up next will do the same. And we can have a great 3 years ahead of us. Let them set the goals at the first. I did that 5-6 years ago when I first came in, and we accomplished every goal that I set that was brought to us in that first meeting. They were all done within 3 years. It can happen. But you got to be at the meetings. You got to be there to let them know. You can't just sit back and wait to see what we're going to do and then say, well, they didn't do what I wanted. Speak up. We'll hear you. We'll work. And then you can spread the word with us.
What has ever been done about making the meetings online?
I think there was two in the past, right? Like I remember there was like some recording of Facebook Live at some point, like twice.
Let's talk to you about.
Okay, Jimmy's got it.
Yes.
Yeah, we did was last year or year before. My first year as VP, and then we had the communicator. Now I can't think of his name.
Brian Oster.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah. So he was the one who, hey, so he brought in his laptop and he had him set up, so his Facebook Lives were over to see, which is a great start. No, we didn't do it this year, but I mean, like,
it takes having somebody that has those skills and equipment and time to do it.
I think the biggest thing, something too.
You're pointing to me?
Yeah, we point out well,
there was no point at all there.
We need feedback like the members. So like going forward, one goal would be is like, because you always get the corners, right? You get on backside of Facebook, or people say it in other groups, or like, what are they doing? What are they doing? But then but they never bring it up to anybody on the board. We hear about it on Facebook or because they don't come to meetings or reach out because they can reach out. So now the board, the club might fail as far as like maybe we don't send out the information as far as like, hey, contact these people. But a lot of people, they seem to be able to contact people anyways. So, I mean, going forward, like a goal for the club would be is like, we really need some way of engaging more of the members and doing like, so when we make a list of what, our priorities are, that it's the membership as a whole that we're achieving those goals. But if we don't know what the majority of the membership wants, then we're always going to look like we fail. So implementing some process, like maybe you do like a survey thing and send it to all the members and then they give it back to us. And then we can see as they go, hey, here's a priority that people think are interested. They want the top 5 priorities listed. We only have so much funds, so we can work on these low hanging fruit and work on these first 2. If it's a big project, then obviously we space it down. But that's what we are as a club anyways. And that's what we need to be. We need all the members, everybody involved. You know what I mean? So we get that. So you run something like that, and then you can anyways, resolve some of those issues, right? Because you get everybody on board. That's really what we need to do.
Hearing from your membership is a crucial part. I mean, I think that's a great idea for a survey of some sort. There have been some comments coming in. I just want to share a few of these. Nick Gordon says, I'd love to help out closer to courses like CLAP, Cessna. I would always help move baskets, clean up, just let me know what I need to do. So I think that's another thing is I've heard this since I've been in the game that people want to help. They just don't know how the hell to do it. So I think the more that you can communicate, even if that's just talking about every single thing that you're doing in the Wichita group, like just let people know. And I know Jerry says you're not doing it for the praise, but you have to understand that the people that are members, they want to know it though. Even though you're not doing it and it's a thankless for you, people want to know what you're doing. It just helps them be proud of them being a member. So I just want you all to think about that too, as the more transparent you can be, because even Kenny here says he's been begging for transparency and communication for a long time. It'd be awesome to know what's going on. So even if you're updating once a month, some type of just post what happened in the last meeting or anything, just to kind of to share what's going on. I think that would just be so valuable to everyone that's a member and to get new membership.
And I'll make one more quick comment, Lucas, and then I'll keep us moving. I'll move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Along those same lines. Yeah. Tell people, how people want to be a part of it. They need to know what they need to, they need to know what they need to know. And if you say things, I'm sorry, Jerry, I'm going to call you out a little bit right here. If you keep saying things like this is a thankless job and nobody wants to do it and stuff like that, how are you going to get people to want to volunteer? Right? If you keep saying how bad it is, why am I going to say, boy, sign me up? I can't wait for that.
Hold on. Let me let you react, Jerry. There you go.
I've never said how bad it is. You're taking that wrong. Everyone else says the same stuff. I don't necessarily talk about it a whole lot. I hear it a lot. I've never felt like I haven't been appreciated in this club because there are always some people who know what we do. There's always some people who can speak up about it. They're not as vocal as the people who choose to not to. That's okay. I don't care about that. I wouldn't have been at it for 5 or more years if I wasn't able to take care of that and work with it. If I didn't get something from it because of the love of the sport and because of the appreciation that I got a lot from a lot of people. And I do know a lot of people in the club still and a lot of people around. And I know what they think of Marty. I know what they think of Joe Belson. And they all appreciate him. But we don't hear it. That's okay. That's what I'm trying to say. It's okay we don't hear it. And but we actually do try to put out the word. It's just you can't, unless you get a billboard and you're putting it on Facebook or somewhere other at every day, seeing it, it's just not going to get out there.
Yeah, that's part of today's world, though. That is part of today's world.
Right. That's true. And I will add this one thing. You're right about communications. Kenny's right about communications. I used to do the job, and I knew what it took to be able to get it going, but I also knew it wasn't able to be kept going by everybody who's fallen in position after that. I'm not blaming anybody, but it's a tough job. She can do it. I'm going to count on her, and I'm going to hold her accountable, because if she doesn't, she's going to hear from me. But it would be nice.
Well, I'm not saying she.
Like
this This race is not won yet. I see 2 candidates. We're not giving.
Yeah.
Nope, nobody has won
currently
yet.
Brendan
All right.
is in the role. So.
All right, we're gonna move. We're gonna move on. We've got a lot of
Brendan's
questions.
got
guys.
other talents as well. All right.
He
Thank
does.
you.
Talented dude. We're gonna move on, guys. Jimmy,
All right.
this one's for you. This one's not a. I don't think it's gonna be a long question, but and Marty spoke to it a little bit earlier, right? League used to be a big deal around here. I'll say when I first started playing club, it was the thing, right? Everybody played. You saw everybody every Tuesday and Thursday night. It kind of feels like, other than what Marty does on Monday nights out there at Derby, that's kind of gone away. What's
100%. I mean,
what's your thoughts on that?
well, I think
I lost the volume. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, Marty, I'm gonna have to kick you, and then here I go. Oh, there you
He's
are.
back.
You're back.
He's back. He's
Okay.
back.
Well, I think it's more as you have so many leagues that go on right now. I mean, Duck runs, at least almost one every night. He does his doubles league on Wednesdays, and he does his, weekend leagues. Derby is successful as heck. I mean, it's great. People love Stone Creek. I think that's why it's very well. I tried to run a Thursday league at Herman. I mean, I ran it, but I mean, it was very low participation. I think it's just there's so many options available out there now that Millbrook has its own league, and these are all run by people that don't run the club. But that's the thing is, the club doesn't necessarily doesn't give people permission, right? We're not seeking, people don't come and seek permission from the club. People can do what they want, obviously, when running a club. And a lot of those people that run these clubs, their leagues, like the Cessna League or like the Millbrook League, they're using those funds strictly for that course, which is great. But I think there's just so many people now and so many other options. It's it's really hard to maintain 2 leagues unless you find something special. So when Lucas came this year and was talking about the flight league, it's like no brainer. Try something new. I mean, it's not connected to it's connected to the club, but not the club, right? This is Lucas's deal, but he's promoting the club by membership and so forth, and we're doing our tag league. So it helps incorporate tag league that hasn't been ran. Because tag league's hard. I mean, running the league by itself is kind of a task, because at the end, especially if you're playing in it, then you got to get back, you got to get everyone's payout, and then add tags on top of that. So when Lucas came to the board about that, it's like a no-brainer. You got to do it.
So you mentioned, and I can't agree more, right? So when I first started playing, there was 2 nights a week you could really play disc golf, and that was Tuesdays and Thursdays. But we do have all the rest of these. For just the AirCap League, though, has anyone reached out to these other leagues to find out what makes them so successful, to try to reinvigorate the things that the club promotes itself? Because if we have all these folks going out to all these other leagues every week, why can't we get the same thing with the AirCap Club?
Yeah, I've never reached out to anybody, to be honest. I mean, I did the Herman thing. We did it every other Thursday. And then Jerry did every other Thursday at Cessna. But yeah, I mean, something to look at.
It obviously looks like there's enough people and there's enough interest to have a club all the time. So let's what do we got to do to get the AirCap Club being like the big dog again?
I have 2 ideas on this situation. I think the first thing that really changed the whole dynamic of leagues in and around the city were when Corey started doing the CPL and it was cash in, cash out. I think that, if I win AM2 against 15 people, well, heck, man, give me $20 versus vouchers that I got to go spend somewhere. I think that changed the entire outlook on league a lot, was people actually playing for money. And I think that's why Lucas's thing has been successful. 1, because it's new, and 2, because there's money involved, cash instead of vouchers you have to go and collect.
I also don't stop talking about it. Like, every post is just like, hey, Flights League, Flights League, Flights League. I mean, it's the day and age we live in. We have such short attention spans. Like, and that's what I'm going to keep harping on. Like, you guys just have to keep telling people what the hell's going on, because people are going to forget quickly, and people are always quick to complain and never thank. But if they know what's going on, they're going to thank you.
But I think what Chris hit it on the head, a lot of it too, is that cash in, cash out, right? So when you're paying vouchers, people want to go get, they don't want vouchers. So if you're going to pay out vouchers, then one thing the club could do is we could do it like what Ducks does. We can do a PGA sanctioned league and run that on a different day. That way, I mean, it's a PGA sanctioned league, so therefore, if you're AM, you're going to get paid in vouchers.
There you go.
So then there you can. So I mean, there's that option.
That's a good
Other
idea.
than that,
Jimmy.
I mean, I think people really love to cash in, cash out, and then of
Yeah,
course,
Jimmy, that's an awesome idea. Having another PDGA league, that's sick.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's probably that would be the one to do, I think, because Monday league is at Stone Creek is baller.
Yeah, it's great. Monday league's well attended.
Yep.
Tuesdays at Colwich is well attended. I know that Chase was doing something at Cessna for a while there that had fairly good numbers. Ducks Doubles on Wednesday is packed every Wednesday. I don't know. Thursday was your thing at Herman that kind of struggled to get people there. Fridays all summer long in Millbrook, we have 30 to 35. I mean, there's just so many options. Makes me wonder if maybe the entire outlook of the Air Capital Disc Golf Club maybe needs to go a different direction. Instead of being one big club, maybe it's the Millbrook Club. And they're part of this bigger umbrella of the Air Capital Disc Golf Club, along with Colwich and whatever else, all doing their own thing, so to say, but still being part of the club, which is what we have. Honestly, that's what we got going on. All the things at Ducks that's Ed and I talked about this a little bit today. That's all one group of people. And then every Tuesday at Colwich, you know who's going to be there. It's going to be the same people every Tuesday, religiously. Flights, we're getting all the same people, but keep getting more of them. Bring it on, people.
42 last week.
And, Millbrook is the same people every Friday. So basically that's what we have going on. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's just the nature of the beast these days.
Yeah.
I think some of it comes to who's running the
Brendan
league,
wanted to
too.
say something too.
Go ahead.
Here you go, Ed.
Ed and then Brendan.
Ed, I think you muted
You
yourself.
got to unmute yourself, Ed.
Yeah, I was just going to say to touch on what Smitty talked about. I mean, with so many leagues going on now, I think a lot of people gravitate to a little bit to the coordinator of that league. Do they like that person, and are they personable? And I think a lot of people like Lucas, and they like what he's doing. He's a great guy, and so people, they gravitate to those personalities. And same with Corey and Nick out at CPL. Every location has people that they like and hang out with, and you're just going to get people that just want to hang out with the same people that they like. But there's so many league options now. I mean, it's really hard to say, do we need to make every one of those leagues an air cap league? Is that really required? I mean, can't people just run their own events if they like?
Yeah,
or do they really need to be under one umbrella? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think this goes to another where you guys talked about member feedback. Like, you ask your members, do you go to league? Which ones you go to? Why do you go to those leagues? Right? And just there's so much feedback you can get from your membership that is just maybe lost on you all if you're not seeking that out all the time.
What do you got, Koontz?
Let's hit Koontz.
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
Koontz.
he's hand up while they go.
No worries at all. I was just gonna. My initial point was cash in, cash out. Like that's a big benefit. I think a lot of people look forward to, and it's a complaint I've heard in the past is the payout structure, and maybe revisiting that with our league. But doubling down on cash in, cash out really was just my point initially there.
So I'll tell you one thing that Mike and I do at Millbrook on Fridays, and I don't know if even the players know, is we take 50 cents a person out and put it into the course improvement fund. And we have a set payout, what we're going to have each week. There's a spreadsheet.
You should probably tell them about that.
No, we do. We tried. We're not secretive about it at all. And the other thing is, if you're not there at payout, we got that from Corey. Thank you for your donation. And the crazy thing is, people will win. They'll be there. They'll say, "What'd I get? $12. Okay, man, give me $6." And they'll just give us the other $6.
Put it in the fund.
So, I mean, just another example of the community willing just to give their dang money away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know that there's anything wrong with people running their own version of leagues. I think it's going to happen regardless of what the club wants. And, I mean, I think more harm would be done by trying to strong arm our way into being a part of those leagues. I think if somebody wants to run a league, I think they're great with it.
Yeah.
So, all right, should we move on?
You got it.
This, I guess, goes to Joe, and I think Joe already kind of touched on this a little bit. What are the club's major fundraising efforts? And yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it between the vouchers.
Yeah,
and
Joe,
stuff.
you gave some good information earlier that really opened my eyes for all the things that you guys have done.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest concern I would have as we're talking about how we change it up and cash in, cash out being the king is we don't make money if we're doing cash in, cash out unless we use a Smitty method and say we're going to still take 50 cents and put it in course improvements. And maybe that's valuable. Maybe that's a shift that we need to make. Maybe it's not. If you look at the origin of the club back in the late 80s, and we've already talked about it, there were no other leagues. There was no place to go buy discs. So the club actually was a disc vendor back then. As Duck has started selling, as Smitty sells, as Nate sells. We don't.
Nate does smell. He's
Hey,
nasty.
hold on. YouTube clip coming in.
Sorry, Nate, if you're watching this later on. No, but if we have all these vendors who are able to sell discs, we don't actually have to carry stock, and we haven't for several years. So maybe it's a shift in the way that we look at money as a club. Maybe it's not about us having to have a significant revenue stream. Maybe it's really just that we are catalysts for action in the community. And if that's what we end up doing, I think that's okay. And maybe it's that, each kind of course liaison or group is responsible for the funds associated with their specific course. So I think that's, it's got opportunity, and maybe it's a shift in the way we need to think. And my eyes are being opened, if nothing else here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to it, to be honest with you. And what are the big hopes to use these funds that we're going to try to bring in, and you might try to bring in? What are you going to try to use them for? Course improvements?
I mean,
beyond that,
it feels like every year we have at least a couple things that come to our plate, whether it's fixing up tee pads, whether it's something with signs that get broken or messed up or whatever else. So there's always opportunity to spend $500, $1,000, whatever it might be. And we try to make those funds last as long as they can and be available for those things. We typically don't have them set aside for specific courses or projects. It's really mostly pretty flexible, but when an opportunity presents itself and we need to be able to spend money, it's nice to have something in the bank.
Yeah. Right. I think Ed had something.
Ed, did you want
We're going to jump to Ed real quick.
Let me unmute you here. You muted yourself. I can't.
Yeah, one thing we talked about with the funds would also be kind of like what you've done, Smitty, with is sponsors and players, whether they be just young players or even an up-and-coming pro that, they just play, the Wichita area and maybe other stuff in Kansas, but maybe they want to go to Oklahoma for the weekend for a tournament and they need a hotel for the night or gas money to get there or an entry fee. So that we may be able to, agree to a sponsor a player or two in the next couple of years to, maybe make something special for them. If they win a big tournament, they get great, then they're going to get noticed by the disc golf companies. So if we get somebody going, that'd be right enough.
That sounds great, Ed. I think you put yourself in a little bit of a sticky wicket there. Now you're using funds that were donated by all these kinds of people to benefit a small segment. I think you might get a little pushback if you did something like that. Is as well meaning as it is and probably beneficial. I mean, I know that it's probably a good idea. I think you run the risk of putting yourself in a bad situation there, in my opinion.
Marty did hit me up when the Kansas Juniors tournament was coming around, and we were trying to solicit some sponsorships for that. He hit me up with some money that had been specially tagged or donated specifically by somebody for juniors, and the Air Capital Disc Golf Club did purchase putters for all of the kids that played the tournament. They paid for every kid that came, got a putter.
That's awesome.
So
That's unbelievable. And I think that's a different thing, right? I think that's different than sponsoring a player.
But that's something that I tried to brag on, but I don't know if I did a good enough job. That would have been a great opportunity to come in there and say, this is what we did, guys. It was awesome. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all good. That was I think it was Greg Renfro who donated those funds. And that was his event that he ran, where he raised money, and he gave it to the club, and he wanted it to be spent on kids disc golf. So that was specifically designated funds.
Awesome. So should we move on? Anybody have anything else about funds or fundraising or anything in that realm? Nope. All right. So
I'm going to go to something that's near and dear to my heart, guys. Again, I come from I think the only one that's been anywhere close to around it as long as I have is Jerry, and Jerry came way before I did. But there was a time when the Doodah was, maybe one of the 3 biggest events in the state of Kansas. And it seems like those days are kind of gone by. And I know personally, I would love to see it get back to being a major stop on the Oz Tour. And so what are the plans to make that a big event again?
Like Jerry.
Oh, Jerry, make it you unmuted here, sir. Go ahead.
I can't say specifically that I have. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we got you, Jerry.
All right. I wasn't getting the feedback there. I can't say I have specific plans for it, but I know what's needed. And it really is someone who's got a good 2 or 3 people, actually. A tournament like that needs to have at least 3 people working it. You got your TD, you got an assistant TD, and then you got an assistant to an assistant. Everyone is going to work their butt off. But if you have one who's really laying out to be able to get sponsorships, to be able to create the pool of money that's necessary to attract the people to come up from Oklahoma City, to be able to get an additional $1,000 or more into the pro players pack. That's what's going to get the pro players up there. You start getting them coming up here, then you also have the people who play in the same clubs with them coming behind them as well. So that's when you get the AMs as well. And I think it also needs to probably it definitely needs to be promoted much better than it has been the past couple of years. I'm not blaming anybody in particular, but that's something you've got to be on right from day one. And day one's got to be 3 months in advance, 4 months in advance. And you just got to start working about what it's going to be. You got to be making noise about what do we need to do. We want to make this big. Fundraising along that lines, things like raffles and so forth ahead of time might be a good idea, as well as seeking out. I'd like to see some corporate sponsors. I'd like to see the Doodah myself incorporate utilizing Cessna's championship course along. A few years back, I used Clap, Cessna on the championship course, and Oak Park in its championship configuration to make it a really challenging thing. A lot of people didn't like it because it was only three courses, but we also turned around and had a championship playoff on the last day, and that seemed to draw pretty good. So I just think of being more imaginative about it, taking some input from people like Chris and others who play these big tournaments, and Ronnie, you of course, and see what makes you go to other places besides the challenge of the course. What else gets you there? And that's what we got to address, and that's the way we got to go about it. I am most likely going to make myself available more and more for helping on the TD areas. That may be the only role I'll play for the next few years. Maybe if I get to learn enough about it, I might take on another TD job myself. But in the meantime, I want to learn more and more about what it takes to make a successful one. That's my plan. If we have any other members out there who have experience in this and want to contribute, talk to me, talk to the club, whatever. I don't care. Let's get together. Let's form a committee within the club to be able to run the Doodah. And you got me right there. Okay.
Yeah, and I pulled this up a second ago, but Kenny, who of course runs a lot of tournaments, had this to say: sponsorships are key. Great player pack and added cash. So, Kenny, some of your insights could be very valuable for them as well. So please let the club know.
I'll tell you, Jerry, 3 things that bring me to any tournament ever. in the entire world or wherever I may go. Number one, are my friends going to be there? That's the most important thing to me. I don't want to go to a tournament. My friends aren't there. It's no fun. It sucks. Number two, are the courses any fun? And I feel like Herman Hill is as good as any course in Kansas. Oak Park is a fantastic course. The third course we'd have to get a little imaginative with to make a third course in the town. I mean, they're all fun to play, but to the level of those two. And the final thing is who's running it. You know, if the TD is somebody who's respected and, you know, I know they're going to run a good tournament and things are going to be planned out and happen, then I'm there. But until we can get, and we have to find a way to raise funds outside of disc golf. I think there's got to be, in a city the size of Wichita, somebody who we haven't tapped into time and time and time again, who's willing to give us money, like the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Do they ever pony up big cash? Because I know they do big things for Hayes. I think they did big things for Augusta. You know, those cities want to see people's heads in beds, I think is the slogan I hear from Emporia all the time.
Yep.
Joe's going to shed some light here. Go ahead, Joe.
Hit it. You got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry, I unmuted myself and then remuted myself earlier. I saw a couple from Kenny, from Tyson, I think. Absolutely, sponsorships are important. And Tyson just asked, does the club have a role for a tournament director? We don't have a tournament director. We have an events coordinator role, which is responsible for as well as our weekly leagues. So they would absolutely be the person that kind of handles that tournament responsibility. And it's not necessarily that they have to run the tournament. It's that they are coordinating it. So they have to make sure it gets run. So Tyson, if you have an interest in something like that, or if someone else listening does, we'd love to work with you or bring you on board for that. Volunteers are super valuable. I think our biggest problem historically with an event like Doodah or Roundup or anything else is we do not fundraise well. And maybe that's a criticism of the current board or the past board, but we don't have a person who just sells what a tournament can bring to a sponsor and then get sponsorships lined up. And so it's very difficult for us sometimes to track down people willing to say, we'll put $500 for getting our name on the event. Or some of it's planning. We need to be a little earlier in the planning phase and maybe buy, fundraiser discs that we can sell 3 months, 4 months before an event. So there's lots of opportunity for us to raise money for events. We haven't done it very well. And I think doing that better in the future will help. I do have a hopeful sponsor that might be fairly large that we're hoping to tap in 2024, but I don't want to steal before we.
Oh, suspense! Leave us in suspense.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe. I mean, I live a lot in that world, right? Right. I've been in operations management and sales for a long time, so I have some contacts I can probably hook you up with. And Jimmy, I think I saw your thumb go up when Jerry said a tournament committee. You have so many resources in this town that are both knowledgeable and capable and experienced in running events. I would say don't be afraid to tap into those people, not just to be the vouchers at the end of the event, but tap into them to see if you can glean something from them from a tournament directing standpoint. Because between Chris and Nate and Duck, and then there's some other folks around here that have ran events too. You have all those resources available to you. I think a committee. I think you'd find people that would be willing to volunteer for that.
That's good. That's good stuff, boys.
Yeah,
I like that.
I love this. Woo! Woo! There's so much good stuff. Let me say. I just want to share a couple of things. This is kind of heading back, but I do just want to pull up some comments. Craig said, I would say a majority of players, this is back to league stuff, would be happy to have some type of entry fee go towards improving the courses that they play. You can still do cash payouts. Nick said, hey, what if there's $1 buy-in for leagues for course improvements? I mean, these are people that are playing these leagues all the time, and they're saying they don't mind. So it might be something you guys look at in the future to really help drive your leagues. Okay, and then hold on. I know Brendan had some design skills. Just some design skills. This guy is a wizard. What if the club sold merch to buy for extra funds? I mean, Lucas kills it with this merch. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, and keep in mind, all my merch is done by Brendan. So yeah, so you guys have a real good dude right there in your back pocket. So yeah, okay.
I think we can skip the next one.
Okay, yeah, so go here.
Okay, so this was a comment that came in through one of the Google
Internet
forms
questions.
that I put out.
Okay.
So it came in anonymously. It says, what is the best way for an Air Capital Disc Golf member to help out, contribute to the goals and needs of the club, other than the obvious things like paying membership dues? So somebody wanting to help out but doesn't know how to help out.
Who would like to
where.
take this one?
Any volunteers?
Oh,
Wank 'em.
Christina,
All right.
get in there.
She speaks. I don't know. I feel like this partially kind of falls on the board in general of just kind of getting, I don't want to say getting our goals in order, but kind of figuring out how we're progressing forward and having a good knowledge of what that actually looks like step by step. And I think maybe once we have a better or more direction on that, I feel like then we can reach out to the community and kind of say, hey, these are some things that we're looking at doing this year. This is how you can help, and kind of put that communication out and talk about what that actually looks like for community members. I think too, just getting like community input is very important and something that I think we could beef up next year, just to kind of get a better idea of what everybody in the community wants too, because if we say our goal is to grow the sport and to grow the community, and we're not asking the community what they need out of the club, then I think we're kind of doing a disservice to the community in general. So I think just kind of getting a better grasp of what people want and kind of what our direction is moving forward will kind of help members to know how they can be of service too.
yeah, absolutely. 100%. Anyone else want to add anything to that? All right, Jerry, you got something? Let me see if I can unmute you this time. Yeah,
There
I
you
got
go.
you.
It's a real
You're good.
simple one. It's a real simple one. It's something the old man group does on a regular basis. Take a trash bag with you. Pick up some stuff along the way. That is one of the most important things that we can do on a daily basis. Anybody who goes out, just pick up a little. You don't have to pick up everything you see. You know, a little bit helps out. If everybody kind of does that, we've done an experiment over at Cessna. Some of you may have seen already the little plastic kind of trash things around a few of the T signs at the bottom, and they've actually been very good for helping to keep the extra trash that would get away from us, the trash that used to collect from people other than disc golf players. The biggest drawback I saw about it, and I've been trying to keep an eye on, is what's it doing to the disc golfers. How many of them now are beginning to leave their trash there instead of taking it out with them? That's the hidden key. I've been picking it up as it goes out. I think I missed about 2 weeks. So the last time I went out, I did fill up 3 large bags to be able to clean them back out. I'm going out with the guy who's not a club member who came up with the idea tomorrow, and we're going to go through and collect them again. And I've talked to at least one other person who's hoping to be able to do that on their own because they live in the area. So if you've got a course that you play on a regular basis, a couple of guys, you go out, maybe every other week when you go out, do a little trash pickup. Begin to get other people you play with. Hey, come join us in this. We're going to do a course cleanup, especially if it's going to be around time of a tournament. That just helps us. Running a tournament helps them to prep the course out sooner. And then if you see something that needs to be trimmed up, if you see something that's broken, let the board or let somebody know. Mike Bailey is a pretty good guy to tell it. Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Jerry.
Great.
That's to me, that's just common sense, man. If you take trash out there, take it with you when you leave. I've never understood how some dude can have 5 beers in their bag full, drink them, smash them, then throw them out. I mean, you've
Yeah.
emptied the dang thing.
And you guys have seen what Smitty does just for, he kind of runs Millbrook, but if he sees trash, he starts having like little contests. He says, hey, take a picture of this. I'll give a disc away, right? Like he does so much for that course, so much little things that, I don't know, just little ideas like that can go such a long way for just helping a course just look nice. So, yeah, good call outs.
What about work days? Who determines those? This is a Mike question, I think. Who determines those, and how do we decide what needs to be done?
Yeah, work days have been a tough one for me. My schedule usually is crazy between working and playing disc golf. A lot of times when I go out to do work, I'll throw a shout out, and I do get complaints. It's like, hey, it's last minute. But at the same time, sometimes I'll give a week's heads up or more, and we get 2 people that show up. So it's been a struggle, setting up work days. There's always course maintenance that needs to be done. There's a lot of stuff that we need to do. I saw one of the comments earlier was, what about this tee pad at Herman Hill? What about this at Oak? We've got erosion on a lot of the courses. A lot of that stuff we need to address. It's something that I've talked to the city about. They would, they love putting in these new courses and new baskets, but, they've come to me and said, hey, we love this, but, when are we going to work on some maintenance? We have course maintenance that we'd like to do. Oak has got a pretty good erosion problem along the river there. And so I do talk to them about that. But again, their resources are finite, their funds are finite. And those things have to, anytime it's course or city money, that's usually planning a year out at a minimum. But I wish I was better as far as giving a heads up on that. But a lot of times it's like, I'm driving home from work going, what do I have going on today? Nothing. Okay, I'm going to go work on the course for a little bit, and I'll throw a shout out. And sometimes I have guys show up, and we've even had, been working, and a lot of the work was done out at Colwich. We'd be out there working, and a troop of 5 or 8 guys come through, and we're like, hey, help us move this, telephone pole. And they'd stop and help us a little bit and then go on with their game. But, the work days are usually the nice days, and the nice days is when everybody's playing. So, I get it. I understand. But, I'll sacrifice my play days to get some work done. Because for me, I enjoy that as much as I do playing. So I don't know how to make it better. I have tried to give good heads up. But if it's nice, people are playing. And so that is a tough one.
That's a tough problem. But by the same point, you can't expect to get folks if that's going to be the way it is, right?
Yep.
We'd all love to be able to join you too, but that doesn't mean it fits everybody else's schedule. So you want to pull that one up? Tyson asked, what about scheduling work days throughout the year, like the 3rd Saturday of a month or whatever that is, right? And then folks know, hey, this is going to be the work day for the month. Who can show up? Because I'm just going to use your baby right up the street from me, Mike. I mean, how many times when the baskets went at Millbrook, how many people did we have out there running around at Millbrook throwing them baskets in, right?
Yeah.
I think it can be done. Just how do you do it, right? That's you. I mean, you're the guy. How do you do it?
And Smitty knows, he hears from me. I'm like, hey, we need to promote this. Why don't you put a post out?
Mm-hmm.
Because, he gets a better pull on Facebook than I do.
Sure.
And so I think scheduling is a great idea that, we just need to put it out there a couple months in advance, and then we need to communicate about it. And we need to talk about it regularly, hype people up for it. I've got tee pads that need to go on the west course at Colwich. We've got some repairs that need to happen out at Cessna. Those are some immediate things that we're looking at to try to get stuff done. And yeah, so we'll work to be better about maybe scheduling days out once a quarter or every 2 months or something like that. Pick a day and just work it. We may get rained out or something like that. That's always a possibility, but I think that's a great way to approach it.
Yeah, I agree. I pulled up this question, Mike, just because I know people always want to help, but I know that the city doesn't always want us to do that. So I thought you could probably at least talk to this a little bit.
Yeah, I'll talk to Oak Park. That's the tough one there with the 3 holes right along the river. You start involving state agencies, city, county, and especially if you're dealing with water, that's a tough one. And the solution may be a T-pad gets moved. I'll tell you what, putting that culvert out at Colwich was a year-long ordeal. I had to get state permits. I had to fill out all the engineering applications for that. It was a lot of city meetings, talking with the state personally, setting everything up, dealing with the county. That was an ordeal. And that was with a free culvert and free labor. That was all the culvert and the labor was donated, but that was the easy part, honestly. So, and we really appreciate that going in. That helps us, get things moving forward on it. But Oak's going to be a tough one. Herman's a lot easier. And we have already had the conversation, especially like hole 18, baskets, hole 1. It's a big problem with the sand right there. The city has their ideas. We have literally gone out, met with the city, talked through some of the options. So that is on the radar to get some fixing there, but it's probably going to be a retaining wall. We're going to have to abide by city ordinance, if it's above certain certain things, setback from the curb, all that stuff has to be taken into account. So a lot of these things are being talked about and actively pursued. But it does take time for that kind of stuff. And they have to be on the radar. I probably need to do a better job of communicating with the city as far as what's our hit list, actually getting a formal list. These are the things that need worked on. And a lot of that honestly comes from the locals. Everybody's out playing, hey, this is really looking rough. We ought to do something about that. I see it pretty much all those posts and talk to the city about that. But we really do need to get a little more organized with the city, get a hit list and start setting dates. When is this going to happen? When's that going to happen? And then in some cases it'll be fundraising, but the city does have resources. This year, with all the work going on with CLAP, that pretty much stole the city's resources for the year. Not a bad thing. A lot of good stuff happened out there, but that pretty much eliminated work on other courses by the city. But like trees, we've had great response from the city. Every time somebody posts a tree down or a limb down, I take that, I give pictures, I give a map that goes straight to the forestry department. And they're usually within days or maybe a week, they're out there getting that cleaned up. So we've had really good response with the city as far as trees down. There's been several at Oak Park and most of them weren't there for more than a week.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of good ideas that have been brought up. I think the work days is a huge thing. A hit list would be amazing, Mike. So all little things I think the board can take back. So speaking of the ACDGC, I think it's just important to know if you're not a member currently, how much it costs to be a member and, what does it get you just in general. So I'm going to ask this to Christina. Let me go ahead and pop up this question. Tell me the costs and perks of a membership.
Yeah, so for all new members, it's $25. And then if you're an existing member the past year, it's $20. So get a little bit of a discount there. In terms of like what you get for the membership, obviously you get into the ACE fund also. So if you win, I think it's 50%, is that right? I should probably know that. 50% of the ACE pot. And then you also get a t-shirt, bucket hat, towel, a mini, and then a bag tag to get into Lucas's flight sleeve also. So
Okay, awesome. And did someone else want to add anything to that? Okay, that was pretty easy. But speaking of membership, I guess Brendan, I have something for you, sir.
Awesome. Real quick, I was also going to add, I do believe the bucket hats were a limited run, so not every membership package will get those.
Okay, I think they're currently out, right? I think we're out of those. At least I don't have any left in the stuff that I have.
3 shirts.
Yeah, and we need some. There have been some questions around
big boy shirts,
quote unquote obese shirts. I think that was Brian. Brian, so I think we're looking for some of those too.
And I do know those will be coming out here soon. I think we are getting the ball rolling on it. We are double checking some vendor pricing basically to make sure that we're getting the best deal that we can. And then that's once we get all that approved and everything through the board, we're gonna have those ordered here shortly.
Yep, and I know all that takes different steps to get through, so all good. So tell me, Brendan, what is the current member count? Where are we at as of today? Is that trending up, trending down from years past?
So as of right now, what our records are reflecting, we're exactly tied with last year on our membership count at 122 members, and that is not reflecting your Flights League update as well. So with that in mind, I think we're going to have 20 or more new members on there. I'm not sure on your official count on that, but yeah.
Okay, maybe apparently
about that many.
So we have 36 total, 22 new, 14 renewals. So awesome. In the 3 weeks that we've run that, so really good success there. So that's awesome. So we're trending in the right direction. I think this is going to shed some light on what the ACDGC does. So I'm hoping more people come to flights, more people become members. You guys communicate what the hell's going on, and I think we're all happy, right? So let me also, I have just talking about the board and everything. I think it's also important to know, and this is going to go to you again, Christina. I'm going to flip flop here, but what positions are available in 2024? We're starting to talk. Jerry mentioned, hey, people are going to have to step up. Someone's going to step into that's already currently going to try to step into a new role. Some may be stepping out. So what positions are currently available for 2024?
I mean, technically all of them. So a term is 1 year. So we have all the positions available. So we've got president, VP, secretary, treasurer, parks liaison, events coordinator, and communication director also. So, I mean, lots of opportunities to get involved. And I think, you asked earlier what the best way for people to get involved in. I feel like that's kind of where we need to start, is like putting together. We already have a board of great people. I think, for next year, having everybody on board and like ready to go, and having some direction. And I think getting someone to fill Marty's shoes is going to be huge also.
How does somebody go about getting their name thrown in the hat for one of those positions?
I think in the past they've, like, in our bylaws, it says to do like a bio. So kind of put together why you want to be on the board, what position you're wanting to run for 2024. And then I think just submit it to anyone on the board, and we can kind of go from there. And then elections will happen at our next meeting in, I think, 2.5 weeks or so.
Whoa, 2.5
So
weeks?
it's right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Snap, people.
So I guess my next question would be, Ed is the vice president. Is that somebody actually run for vice president? Are they second place in presidential votes? How's that?
That's a position you also run for. Yeah.
So you don't. So just because you had the position last year doesn't mean you have a leg up on anyone else.
Not at all.
And then how do you cast a vote? I've never voted.
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's a great question. I wasn't in the voting last year, so I'm not actually sure if anyone wants to take this one.
Who wants it?
Who would like to help me learn how I can vote? Thank you, Jerry. I'd like to vote
Well,
this
that's
year.
Marty or Gary.
Okay. Jerry, let me unmute you. Hold on, sir. You're good?
It's what we've done the past 3 years, I believe it is, Joe, maybe 4. we started creating an online availability to vote, and that's worked out very well. Up until that time, it was you simply had to show up or submit your vote by proxy to somebody to be handed in on the day that the votes are counted. We still like to see that because we like to see people come to the meetings. There'll be ballots at the meeting to be filled out. As to what's available, in theory, excuse me, she's absolutely correct. All the positions are open, but in practice, we very seldom see we don't always see a full ballot submitted because we don't have enough people step up.
Gotcha.
I believe for the past 2 or 3 years that's happened. It happened my last year in when Marty took over. I think we still had one position. One of the hardest positions to fill is the secretary's job, and I believe that's going to be coming open perhaps along with Marty's. I don't know that for sure. I believe Mike has indicated he may run again. Ed has said he's spoken that he would. Joe's planning on it. I don't know for sure about Jimmy or Brendan, but I believe they're also planning, but I'm not speaking for them. So there could be anywhere from 2 to 3. I would say if you're interested, don't worry about who's already there. Sign up, do it, and I'll bet if nothing else, they can find another way that you can serve the board and learn more about what it takes to be a member on the board. Because I think if they're really on it, they're going to be able to start taking in people who want to volunteer to help board members, because that would be ideal. If I was the events coordinator and I had an assistant who was a volunteer, when I was back doing it, I would have loved it. When I was communications director, I would like that. And
Awesome.
I made the mistake forgetting her name. Marie? No. Anyway, I always help out the communications people. I always help them out because I run the website, and I also know what's going on with the Facebook page and so forth. So until they get settled in, I'm there to assist. Other than that, people sign up, volunteer for anything, anywhere you can.
Where can somebody go to find the duties of each of these positions? Like what's expected of it? Looks like Jimmy
I will see what I can do to be able to get that information to the right people. And I believe right now we got a hand up there that can answer that for you.
All right.
Is that you, Jimmy?
Yep. I'm going to move Jimmy over. Jimmy, there you go, sir.
So you can go. The bylaws are on the Air Capital Disc Golf website. So aircapitaldiscgolfclub.org, and then under missions, it has board meetings and it has bylaws. You can click on the bylaws, and that's the current bylaws that are in. And their last updated was 2004.
Okay,
so
and that will.
And all the stuff's on there. So I mean, I'm not now that obviously the bylaws need to be probably reviewed and updated too, as old as they are. But and then the website probably needs updated. But there's a lot of work that needs to happen, but it's all volunteer stuff, so it's kind of difficult sometimes. But anyways, aircapitaldiscgolfclub.org. Under missions, there's bylaws, and there you go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, Aaron's voting from now on, and they want you to run.
Too many other things going on.
Nice try, guys. All right.
So do you have to be approved to be able to run? Is that what I understood, or is it just a submission process?
You just submit your name. You submit your name and what position you want to run to be on the ballot. I believe is what it is.
There's no
ahead.
requirement around approval. It's just based on you need to have been a member in the year leading up to the year you're running. So, for example, if you were interested in running in 2024, you need to have been a 2023 member. You can't join a week before election and then run for the board. So that's the only caveat. If you are a person who's not yet a member and you're watching this podcast and you're planning on joining, and you want to be in a volunteer role, we often have people come in a little bit later. Christine is an example of that, where she was able to fill an opportunity even though she didn't get elected during the election process.
Awesome. Yeah. Sweet.
Awesome. So I think
right.
that takes care of all of
Yeah,
our
I think
questions.
I think we had a few more here. I threw some stuff away here.
Lucas is frantically searching for our questions.
I got it. All right. So speaking of the bylaws, so this can go to anyone. But speaking of the bylaws, are y'all restricted at all? Like, is there something that you wish you could change on the bylaws that maybe people don't understand? If Joe, I saw you came off mute, go ahead and take that away.
So, as Jimmy talked about, the bylaws are pretty old. They're from 2004. And the bylaws were written very, very well intentioned, but they were also written very restrictive. And so I think there are probably a lot of opportunities in the bylaws to lighten them up a little or make things less stringent. The problem we run into is that we have to have I think it's a 50+% approval to change them, and getting half of our membership to vote on anything, that's 60 plus people. And it sounds like with this year's membership pushing 160, that's 80 plus people. So getting 80 plus people to be willing to vote to change the bylaws is a task. And so when we last tried to change them, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, we got very little response when we published that about there that we were going to try to get a change made to the bylaws. Very few people were willing to weigh in. And I don't remember if we officially put it to vote or if we didn't get enough of a response to be able to do that. So I think the bylaws themselves are restrictive and limiting, and they could probably use quite a bit of a refresh, but that has to be done appropriately and carefully so we don't take away some of the protections that are in place in those.
Yeah, that's going to be no easy task getting 80 people to vote. Jimmy's got something for us.
Move you over.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
And as far as club wise, you guys got Air Capital Disc Golf Club is a 501, right? It's a registered. So you have to have your secretary and give minutes and all that stuff because you got to follow the guidelines of the government. So, and I think some of and I'm not sure 100%, and Joe could probably talk more on that, but so you have to have your bylaws, and that's also the important role of the secretary because you got to have your minutes. A lot of times when you're proving stuff to validate things, you have to have written minutes of what you've done in your business. So, there's a lot. It's not like major things per se, but that's the hidden entities of it all. Because we are a 501, a charitable nonprofit. Joe, you said that about true statement. Anyways, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're designated as a 501c7, which is a club designation. So we are not a 501c3, but we do have expectations and restrictions, requirements because of our club status.
Tyson asked a good question that I was going to follow up with anyway, but are the minutes posted anywhere? Is that something that is ever shared?
We've done that
currently.
Yeah, we've done that in the past. We're not as consistent with doing it as we should be. And in large part, that's because it's been tough to keep a secretary willing to take minutes and report minutes. And so we've often had the president doing double duty, running meetings and also trying to take meeting minutes. So if we get a person who loves to take notes and make sure things get recorded and reported, I think that the communications director and that secretary working together could do a great job of getting those posted. We haven't done a great job historically of getting those posted anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It nails it.
Let me put that up.
Yeah.
This is a very crazy scenario, but I like it. Could you put signs up at courses with QR codes to vote? They'd be required to use their member number, which I don't think we have member numbers, but to make a valid vote, but something along those lines. I just think that's interesting where you'd have to have something unique once you become a member. I don't know. And this is what I mean though, with just the communication of all the people there, right? That people have ideas. This one may not be one that could come to fruition, but it's just nice to know that I've seen so many things in the comments today about different ideas, different things that, and of course we've heard this too, where maybe they're giving ideas, but no one's actually doing anything. But I've also seen a ton of comments about, hey, I want to help. Hey, I want to help. And I think that's just very, very powerful for the club So I think this has been an awesome discussion. But anyways, I love the transparency here. I think this has been a good conversation just in general around everything. Okay, but we do have one other question to kind of take us out of here. You want to ask this one?
Sure. And I want to answer Rod's question. Rod, anybody can be a member of the Air Capital Disc Golf Club. We don't care if you're from Wichita, Sedgwick County, Nebraska. Well, we might have a problem if you're from Nebraska, but you can go ahead and join if you want. So yeah, it's not limited to anybody. Before I ask the question, how do you, what platform do you use to take the online vote? Do you use a Google form or do you use something different?
Gary, I see you. Hold on, give me just a second. I got you muted now.
I can't remember the name of it right now. I'd have to look it up. It's a vote by. You create a site, you go there, and the candidates are listed. You vote yes or no for each one of them, and it's supposed to be confirmed by. They click a certain button, and then it comes back, and they have to confirm that they voted. It's kind of a tricky thing, but that sometimes causes confusion. So we, the past few times, we just let it go, and people vote in, and they know it's gone, and then and it's there. But anyway, it's an online thing. I haven't been asked about doing it this year. I'm assuming it wants to be done. Joe, if it is, then I'll be getting on it as soon as we know what candidates we're going to have. But when we do, we'll get it up in advance before the day of the voting. Hopefully, I get it in the week before. That's the idea. If we make sure we got all of your applications in, that 1 week allows me to collect votes at least that week, and we'll have it all over the Facebook page and everywhere that we can get it. So,
and we do have member emails, right? So
they are out there. Yes, I'm not sure how well the record has been kept lately, so can't speak
yeah, I mean
specifically.
that would be a task, Brendan and Wankum, to send out 160 some emails.
Yes, Christina, I'll remember your name next time.
Hey, Smitty, before you jump into this question, can I make a suggestion to you guys?
Sure.
I think a lot of the people that are going to watch this are going to know about the elections for the first time. My suggestion to you would be to delay that process for a couple of weeks to allow folks who want to be involved. You're asking for involvement. Allow them the opportunity.
There's those bylaws again. We actually have restrictions by the bylaws to do it. We made an exception one year. I know how we did it. I believe it was right in what we actually did. I think it was my second year as president. Maybe it was the third. We just didn't have enough people who were going to show up. And this was before we started the online voting. That's why I did it the next year. And so I simply recessed the meeting, and we didn't actually adjourn the meeting, and held that recess open for 2 weeks while we finally got the votes together. And we don't want to have to do that again because that's real tricky. But the bylaws actually
I'm just saying, I'm thinking you're setting yourself up to fail.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I'm setting this up. I'm just trying to tell you. You asked about it, and I agree. It's there, and if there's some way that the president board wants to try to address it, I hope they do. But it's tricky.
Marty, for some reason I got no sound on you, Marty. I couldn't hear what you were saying there, Marty. Yeah, it's not coming through.
Dang it.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir.
Darn.
Put it in the chat, Marty, and I'll convey it for you.
No.
It's been some really good feedback from you guys, and we're definitely going to take back with us as the current board some actions for this. I could see us posting, quickly, an application for any of those that have been in the club through 23, as we've stated. And then get those applications pulled in. We'll get, the coordination set up for that voting to happen, and hopefully quickly post kind of the date range for when that's going to happen. here in what, 2.5 weeks. I imagine we'll have, probably half a week to a week actual voting time, that allows people to vote, something like that. So we need to get those dates out there rather quickly, and then get the word out, post on Facebook. I think this right here, talking about all the people watching, hopefully we'll be mindful of that information coming out, and we'll get that out there. So.
All right. So here is Marty's, he typed it in. He said the bylaws restriction on the annual meeting are a real problem. Jerry, what is the date of the meeting? You have that handy? Hold on, let me get you unmuted.
Yeah, I got the bylaws somewhere on my computer. Let me see if I can dig them
Okay.
up. I'm not sure
No, you're
I can get it done
okay.
by the time we leave.
Jimmy's got it.
Jimmy, you got it? All right.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So the annual meeting, Aircraft Disc Golf Club will have an annual meeting each year on the second Saturday in January, following the second of the month at 1 p.m. to accept the financial report for the prior year, approve the prior year's actions on the board, etc. A quorum will consist of no less than 20% of the membership.
13th. So that's the 13th.
January 13th. The second Saturday after the 2nd of January is the 13th.
What a tongue twister.
Yeah, man. So I guess my advice would be, if somebody out there wants to run this year or has a buddy who they feel like would fill that slot, man, we got to push him. We got to get him in there in the next 2 or 3 days to meet all the requirements to have him on the ballot on the 13th. So
get out there, run.
Yeah.
Put your stuff in.
Yeah.
Apparently, not just Smitty for president, but Christina. There you go.
I see. I don't know if that's an official nomination, but it looks like it to me.
So let's ask that last question, then open the floor up to any of them that want to add something in closing and get out of here. We've been at this for 2 hours, boys and Christina. Other than communication with the city, why do we need a club in this day and age? Courses seem to be taken care of by small groups, not the club. Are sanctioned events insured using the PDJ? Why do we need the club in its current configuration?
I'll handle the courses side of things. The city specifically asked to work with the club. They don't want to be hit from 100 different directions on 100 different projects with no organization. So they specifically asked for that. They enjoy working with us. They love having us on the parks within the city. So that's a big one right there. And aside from that, just a semblance of coordination throughout the area to do upgrades and to get some information out there.
And looking at it from the city's angle, they probably do get hit by 100 people from every different direction. And it's probably real easy to say, talk to Mike and then get back to us.
Yep.
So that ends a lot of big dreams right off of the bat. So that's good. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
What most people don't know is that usually for a tournament like we do and to reserve the courses, you would be paying a pretty sizable fee to do it. And even more so if you use something like the Riverside facility over there off of any type of
Park Villa.
Park Villa, thank you very much. If you use the Park Villa and so forth, that can get really expensive. And we've done it in the past, and we don't have to pay a dime for it because we trade off our volunteer work to them, and we get a like kind exchange for the use of the parks for our tournaments, for our league. No questions asked. For the tournaments, we do have to submit. We do have to reserve the courses and go through that process, but they never have said no. And we also extend that availability to individual members of the club if they want to run an event, and the board agrees with them doing it. They get to use the same as well. So as long as it's got our name on it and we can have a say that it's run properly. That's the way it's
Awesome.
been in the past anyway. Okay.
We're putting that to use Saturday with the water center, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, it is happening. Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, club.
You're welcome.
Thanks, ACDGC. Thank you.
So,
And thank you guys for having us on. That was great.
yeah. Anybody want to say anything in closing as we
Final thoughts. I
Final
see
thoughts?
Brendan came off mute. Yeah, that's what you get.
I was gonna say make sure to vote for Christina for communications this year. Because clearly there's a communications issue, and I think she has a valiant degree for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, no joking aside, I do think there's a communication issue between what's going on with the club and what's going on with the members and what's going on with the non-members, just the community and of disc golfers in Wichita. And that is a valuable role that somebody needs to fill, and, you know, start somewhere and take off from there. And
Absolutely.
it's gonna have to be somebody who's not afraid to just post the living crap out of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I came in at a time, and especially after the pandemic, when we just needed people to come in, and I was happy to be able to help where I could, but definitely looking forward to the future and setting some of those goals. I want to be able to continue to help with events or whatever I can do, but I do see the shortcomings, and I do like the brainstorming we're able to do with the communication, because I think we have a lot of good ideas, and I appreciate you guys just hosting this conversation and being able to ask those questions and communicate with the community.
Absolutely.
Look, if like I think in our little group chat we had earlier, like Lucas said earlier, if we weren't advocates of the Air Capital Disc Golf Club,
yeah,
we certainly wouldn't have shared our platform with you guys. Obviously, we all want to see this thing be the absolute best it can be, right? And the people on this podcast are obviously going to be integral parts of that. So, I'll just go ahead and say my thank yous to all of you guys for being vulnerable, for putting yourselves out there, for letting us maybe grill you at times a little bit, and but the thank yous to you guys for everything that you do is always going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And even if you're not communications director, you don't get off that easy. There's secretary spot, Jerry's leaving.
There's going to be something for sure I can do.
You're not getting out, buddy.
And I know we're closing, but Nolan needed to say this. So, Mike, I know we were talking about this before we even started. So if you want to just address it real quick, just for Nolan, so he can sleep better tonight.
Already planning to get it fixed.
Okay, there we go.
It'll
Thank
be
you
done
so much for the
by the
update.
weekend. Yep.
It's going to be
Perfect.
one
Good
big
man,
piece
Bailey.
of cement.
And thanks everybody that posts when stuff needs attention. You know, I don't play every course every week. So, you know, every time somebody posts something, I want you to know that we are watching, and we try to address all this stuff as soon as we can.
I can't wait to see this priority list and see where we get to start focusing our attention. So I know Cessna's in bad need of a little bit of love. So I think that's probably, in my opinion, one that should be towards the top.
There's already been, funds spent and equipment bought, and it's just a matter of getting that work day and getting some stuff done out there. Mm-hmm. The mowers out there wreak havoc a little bit.
Yeah, we need to do something hype up above, something to hopefully slow them down a little bit. But yeah, because you've seen them mow. It's
we've been sinking them in the ground. That's working pretty good. So that's kind of the direction we're heading.
Yep, absolutely. So cool. Thanks, Mike.
Yep, appreciate you. Anyone else before we
Jimmy,
let me get you over here. Get you unmuted. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to do it. I wanted to thank Marty for his role as the president for the last however many years he was doing it and stuff. So I think we're all guilty of not reaching out I mean, I know I am. Like reaching out to people because you don't get the results you want sometimes, so you just kind of do it on your own, whatever. So I think we're all guilty of that. You get commonplace with that, and so then you also get commonplace to where like you don't volunteer anymore because of something that might have happened in the past or something like that. We all get guilty and get into these little corners, or just we're gonna do it, march on and do it ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, going forward, whoever takes over as the board, hopefully they'll embrace more of the membership, and look at that as a useful as what they are, right? That's what the AirCap is all about, is the community of disc golf. And we know the community of disc golf in Wichita is awesome. So hopefully we can all bring back AirCap.
Yeah, absolutely. Marty talking some trash on himself there.
And I got to say thanks to Marty as well for all of the service the last, 4 years as president. I don't have thick enough skin to do what you do or have done. I mean, so many people have strong opinions one way or the other, and I'm sure you get bombarded all the time by people's opinions on what needs to be done and should be done and how it should be done. And you've handled that with a lot of grace and integrity, I think, making the best decision you could for the better of everybody.
Yep, absolutely. And then as a closing for me, of course, thank you all, but I need to do my typical marketing. The ACDGC food drive is going to be Saturday, so I hope you all are there. We have a chili cook-off. Just so you know, if you're going to try to win, Aaron's chili's got some venison in it, so heads up.
Good for second place.
Joe, okay, sorry. Joe said it's saying your chili has game. Craig said, thank you so much, ACDGC, for all you do for disc golf in Wichita and surrounding areas. Also appreciate allowing members the opportunity to use the insurances so us small TDs can host events around the state. So huge shout out to y'all. Kyle said that was every bit as informational and awesome as I hoped. Thank you to everyone involved. So big kudos to all of y'all. I know it's been said, but it's not easy to be a dartboard and just take darts all night long. So really appreciate you being vulnerable and giving us the opportunity to shed some light just to everyone. So, all right. Anything else before I do some out? Anyone else want to say anything? Okay. Going once, going twice.
Ed, you got any swords?
Okay. Ed, do you need... Okay, hold on.
Come on, let's see him. Hold on. me and Smitty have it.
He rolled his eyes like, of course, dude.
Smitty, are you ready to give the people what they want?
Yeah. What's your most prized piece?
I like that one with the chainmail right there.
I like this one that your hand is on.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's shiny. That's going to leave a smudge. Oh, my God.
All right. Tell us
that
about
thing
it.
sideways. What?
Yeah, oh. And I just want you to know I've always been nice to you, dude. Always.
Man, that is awesome. Pretty cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's time to take off. We've been at this for 2 hours and 17 minutes. So thank you for everyone for tuning in as well. Awesome engagement in the chat. Lots of people wanting to help. Lots of good ideas. I thought this was really, really insightful and really answered a lot of the questions that I had tonight. So, and Marty just did say, "Don't try to break into Ed's house." So we're gonna end it with that one. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful evening and take care.
See you guys.
Bye
Thanks.
now.